Okay, I just got it. There we go. Okay, that was strange. I can do everything else, but apparently I record, so. All righty. I am going to share our screen here. We'll get started. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I am going to mute myself now.
Yeah, if y'all can set the mute, that would be great.
Hey, where did it go? I haven't been on here for a while. There's got to be a mute. Oh, there it is.
All righty, so if you all mute yourselves, you can see like a full screen of a slide.
Yep.
Okay, great. All righty. You said yes to being your chapter president. Now what? First, thank you for saying yes. And second, congratulations. Your chapter believes in you and your leadership skills. Welcome to the Montana State Chapter Local President and Vice President Training. The intention today is to be a brief overview of your duties as president and vice president. We could spend several hours on detailed training, but we will not do that to you today. There will be time for questions at the end. I am Jeannie Peterson, the Montana State Chapter President, and Linda Miney, Vice President, State Chapter is also here, and she will highlight the duties of the Vice President after this presentation. Today, I will briefly cover the following topics: sources of information, a brief tour of the international and state websites, the President's Book, ceremony of initiation, mentoring, and hints for success. As your president, as your chapter's president, you are the authority for your chapter. You have the information to answer all of the questions, but do you know where to look? The President and Vice President reference guide that was attached to the Zoom link for today has a list of resources of information for you, but I'll briefly summarize them. The P.E.O. Constitution, bylaws, and standing rules, instructions to officers of local chapters, the President's Book, training from your predecessor, the International P.E.O. website, the Montana State Chapter website, the Montana State Chapter proceedings and bylaws, the Montana State Chapter newsletters, your chapter bylaws, your chapter yearbook, the P.E.O. record, and finally, the executive board of the Montana State Chapter. Granted, some of these are not exactly riveting tomes, but they do provide a lot of information to answer about every question you have. You should read and be familiar with Part 3 of the Constitution. This is specifically for local chapters. You should also be familiar with instructions to local chapters and the Montana proceedings and bylaws. As chapter leaders, you should be familiar with the duties of each of the officers as listed in the Constitution and instructions to local chapter officers. I will attach those instructions, or read shorthand it to IOLC, to the Zoom recording, and you may read these at your convenience. And the Montana proceedings and bylaws have a wealth of information that is specific to the governance and workings of the Montana State Chapter. These are updated annually and are available on the state website after convention. You will want to become familiar with navigating both websites. Kristen Hope, state organizer, will be presenting a workshop at convention on navigating these websites. Keep in mind that you will need a password unique for both, and the international website recognizes your email address that is on file with international as your username. The state website recognizes your member ID as your username, so you need to keep track of both of
Does this
those.
mean they can't see me?
Let's see, you select your password for each. Remember the passwords, as we do not have access to them. So let's do a quick tour of the international website. You should see the state website or the international website screen. At the top is the login button.
Jeannie, we don't see that yet.
Not yet.
And if you've been
Oh,
scrolling,
okay. Well, I will have to reshare it then. Okay, we'll do that. I thought it would click right into it. I guess it doesn't.
surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise. How about that? Do you see it now?
Nope. Do you have
How
two
about
screens?
now?
No,
No.
How
If you
about
have two
now?
screens, you have to move it.
There we go. Got
there
it?
you go. Yep.
Okay. I have about 3 or 4 different screens open, that's why. Okay, so at the very top, we'll just step back. At the very top, there's a login button. Click on that. For the international website, again, it uses your email address as your username. And I have my password just saved to the desktop, so it pulls it up automatically. Hit that login button. And you will see the homepage for the entire international website. At the top, there's a membership tab, resources, projects and foundation, meeting and events, make a gift, and about P.E.O. There's also an introduce a woman form that'll take you right to the online form to introduce someone to P.E.O.
Jeannie, we have a sister who's having a hard time hearing. Could you speak up?
Okay, thank you. I will do my best to not yell too loud. Alrighty. The membership tab shows all kinds of information, how to get involved. And if you scroll down, it will take you to various forums like introduce a woman to P.E.O, how to become a member, and some other information. One of the key things with this particular website is if you click on something and you see just a big picture like this, keep scrolling down because all the information is below that picture. Other things under this membership form is how to do a membership update form, how to transfer and how to reinstate your memberships. I will not go into all of these. I'll let you just kind of cruise around and learn on your own. The next one is resources, and this is one that you will probably spend a lot of time on. Click on the resource library. And this has all of the forms, manuals, everything that you will need to do your job, as well as the rest of the chapter. They have access to these as well. Again, you'll see this gigantic picture, scroll below it. And to use this feature, the old forms used to have all these different tabs that you could just click on. They took that away, but they made it a little bit easier, depending on your perspective, a little bit easier, a little bit more challenging. If you go into the search and filter feature, and under resource type, click on that and you can do a pull down menu and you can scroll down to see, okay, I know I need a particular manual or handbook. So you scroll down and click on that. Click on audience type and it will give you anybody can read, a specific member or a specific chapter officer. So we'll click on just local chapter officers and it will pull up 2 forms for you to look at. Here is the instruction to officers of local chapter and officers. So you can click on that, it pulls it right up. Scroll down a little bit and it gives you, you can do the complete instructions or you can just go to a specific officer or look at policies or how to do exhibits. So we'll just click on that so you see what it does. And it should pull up basically a PDF that is a searchable file. You can download this and you can also print it. But the nice thing is say you want to know how, as president, balloting for membership. In that table of contents, it does link to this specific topic. So if you say balloting for membership, I want to learn more about that. That little finger will go right on top and it will pull you to that very page that you need information on. So it's a quick search tool. And just click out of that. Another way to search things is to go up to the little magnifying glass and say you just need a template for a yearbook. So we'll do templates. And it will pull up yearbook templates, flyer templates, etc. That's a really nice little feature. And then we'll switch over to projects and foundation. And as you can see, it pulls up buttons for each of the projects and also the foundation. So let's choose Educational Loan Fund. Click on that. This has a wealth of information for you to look at and also for your chapter. Don't just hide this from them. It gives you information on the eligibility and application process. It has a link that you click and it takes you right to that. Scroll down and you'll see the big logo for the Educational Loan Fund, but keep scrolling, there's more information. There's information on educational loan facts, policies, the local chapter recommendation process. There are videos to view and quotes, highlights of each project, and how to be the information to become a legacy chapter. That's one of those recognition programs within each project. Deadlines, you can view other states' legacy chapters as well as our own. And ways to find ELF candidates. So there's a wealth of information under each of the projects. We'll go over to the Montana website. Can you see that, the Montana State Chapter website?
Yes.
Okay, great. Member login for our state website is your username is your member ID. Again, I have my password set up to be remembered. So I'll just go ahead and log in. And what comes up is a manager profile. So if you want to change your password, you can, or edit profile. I'm just going to point out some of the highlights here. So what's new? Our webmaster, Diane, whenever she makes updates to the state website, she will post the date changes were made and what changes were done, as well as links directly to those new additions. Proceedings and forms is one that you will probably access frequently. And yes, there's a little bit of outdated information, just ignore that at the top. But all the proceedings that come from us after convention or even during convention will eventually be posted annually. They get updated annually and are posted here. Each page is done individually, as well as some sections do have a print package of everything all at once. And these are simply pages that are, they're all PDFs and you can download them and print them if you need to. So last year's P.E.O. Dreams Taking Flight is the Scholar Award report. And you can just see that as an example. Okay, we'll scroll up. I will try not to make anybody dizzy when I do that because I tend to go a little quick. Another tab is the projects tab, so you can click on that. It gives you information about each of our projects, as well as committee chairman contact info. If you scroll down, there's information on Cotty College, and that link will take you right to international and into the Cotty College tab. Some other things to look at are we'll go into Cotty College. This gives you all the members of the committee, and that will change again after convention. It also gives you links to all the application forms and information that you need to get your Cotty student going. And the last one, I'll click on to the Montana scholarships. And these you can click into the scholarships that are available through Montana State. So let's click on Jane Hammer. It gives you the information. There's a flyer to download for Jane Hammer Holmgren. There's the eligibility requirements as well as the application links. And the last one I'm going to show you here, again, this is a brief tour, so I'm happy to answer questions afterwards. We'll go over to resources. There's membership information for your membership chairman as well as you. We have post all of our newsletters to the website as well. And let's take a brief tour of the officer resources. This has links to the training videos, as well as general officer resources, resources for the president, resources for the treasurer, chaplain and guard, recording secretary, corresponding secretary, and this was recently added, the State Finance and Budget Committee archive. So we will jump out of that. Come back to sharing my other screen so you don't see all my email. Alrighty, you should see the resources screen again.
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. Okay, we've done that brief tour, and I will encourage you to give yourself some grace as you cruise around these websites. There's a lot of information to discover. There's a lot of rabbit holes, but boy, once you get in there, you can learn a lot and find a lot of information. If you cannot find an answer to your questions or need confirmation, please reach out to a state officer, but keep in mind they may ask you, where did you look? Now, next, let's spend a few moments focusing on the President's book. By now, you may have a meeting or two under your belt with some training from your predecessor, or maybe you are a return officer. We will not go through the President's book word for word because that's just brutal, but we will focus on some highlights. The President's book has supplemental information in italics written throughout, and also there are appendices that have information for helping you run the meeting efficiently. The password is no longer taken at meetings. If the guard does not recognize someone, she should ask to see their membership card. Devotions. The chaplain can read from a Bible with both Old and New Testaments, or she can read from another inspirational text that is acceptable to the chapter. It is the chapter's decision to write or to recite the Lord's Prayer before the P.E.O prayer. It is now acceptable to send minutes of the previous meeting to chapter sisters before the next meeting. However, this must be voted upon by the chapter and be included in your chapter bylaws. P.E.O does use Robert's Rules of Order, so please become familiar with these parliamentary procedures for meeting efficiency. The things you need to learn the most about this are already kind of built into the President's book and the wording, so it's pretty easy. Balloting procedures are detailed in Appendix 10. Remind the chapter that talking or eating and drinking is not permissible during balloting. I have seen this happen. For the good of the chapter, this can be a little bit confusing. Information like a sister's change of contact information, presentation of a new member's PIN, or a sister's health update are acceptable for the good of the chapter. News of personal matters like bragging about your children and grandchildren accomplishments, those types of things should really be shared at the close of the meeting. A few highlights from the ceremony of initiation. A healthy chapter is one that experiences growth in membership. The reference guide that you have explains sponsoring and balloting on names for membership. Pre-acceptance counseling. This is important once a name has been accepted or has accepted the invitation to join your chapter. It is up to you as the president to select the committee who will meet with her and let her know what to expect during initiation, as well as what to expect as a member of your chapter. And as president, this is the time to ascertain her preference for taking our vows using the Bible or her hand over her heart. Remember, this is her choice, not the chapter's. The ceremony of initiation. Practice, practice, practice. While it is a celebration for the chapter, this is a reverent time as well. Practicing the ceremony will give each officer the opportunity to build confidence, to get to know her part and the timing in relation to the other officers. Do not assume that everybody knows what to do. The ceremony of initiation booklets have info and hints available when conferring the initiation ceremony so it goes smoothly. Those are on the inside cover. The guard's duties. Even though you're president, you must be aware of what the guard does to set up the table for ceremony of initiation. The guard sets the tone for that ceremony. You will need to know how the guard prepares the table, including bringing the initiatory emblem in the first step, the first trip out, and how she prepares the tassels. And remember, there's no reaching over the emblem to arrange tassels. There are 3 total trips. The other 2 trips in to set the table are the Bible and the pin, with the 3rd trip being the white gavel. Make eye contact with the initiate. This is the first formal impression of your new member. Your new member will have of you. Make it count by making eye contact with her throughout the ceremony. While memorization of parts is no longer required, each officer should know her part so well that she need not read it. Special work. Whispering is no longer required. You may share the password and the meaning of the letters using a normal tone of voice. Why? Because those witnessing the ceremony are already members, and the new initiate needs to be able to hear clearly the special work being given to her. If initiating more than one member at once, the special work is given to each initiate. And finally, if you have an official visit this year, be prepared to exemplify the ceremony of initiation. We'll touch briefly on the importance of mentoring. Although this may not necessarily be your specific duty as the president of your chapter, it is part of the chapter duties. Mentoring is vital to the success of your new member as well as the chapter. Without mentoring for the first 3 years, new members are more likely to go inactive. So here's what to do to keep those new members. There's more detail in the reference guide. However, I'll highlight some points. As president, you will need to set up a post-initiation committee to meet with your new member. A mix of her sponsor, experienced members, and yourself is a good start. Review the meeting procedures, chapter culture, expectations, and information about our projects with her. This should not be done in one meeting. There is just simply too much for her to remember. Encourage your new member to ask a lot of questions. They can be shy at first about asking, but reassure them that we are all new members at one time. Let her know you need her. Assign her to a committee with her sponsor so she knows right away her talents are valued. That doesn't necessarily mean make her be the chairman of a committee, but just so she's encouraged to join in. And finally, encourage the post-initiation committee to continue meeting with your new members over the course of 1 to 2 years. 3 years is best. There is a 3-year mentoring program and a post-initiation counseling PowerPoint resource on the international website, and you can actually search for those very specific titles. While 3 years sounds like a long time, it will be well worth the investment. Your newest member will feel like she is part of the team. And encourage all members of the chapter to become her mentors. Every chapter member has her own experiences to share. I will wrap my portion up with a few hints for success. Chapters are asked to set goals for the year. These often fall in line with the state and international goals. Be realistic in establishing your goals. Push the chapter a little bit, but not so much your sisters feel overwhelmed. Write an agenda before each meeting so no business items are forgotten. This is what helped me when I was a chapter president. I wrote my agenda for the next meeting right after the current meeting was finished, so any unfinished or tabled business was not forgotten. And it is okay to table a business item or refer to a committee, especially if a business item is taking too much time to discuss or has become contentious. Some chapters have officer meetings to go over the agenda, review unfinished business, and new business to be brought before the chapter, and to review officer duties and responsibilities. These chapters have found bonus meetings build confidence, excitement, and the relationships between each other. They are a benefit to the leadership as well within those chapters. And lastly, take a deep breath. Know that mistakes will happen. Learn from those mistakes and do not dwell on them. And with that, I will turn it over to Linda.
Oh, forgot. Nice job, Jeannie. Thank you. It's hard when you're on mute, not on mute. I was going to just have a show of hands to see how many of you are really first-time vice presidents.
Looks like there was one.
2.
Can you hear me?
I
Yes.
can.
I am a first-time president.
Okay, all right. So some of this will kind of be a repeat and it will be good for the new vice president. So the main duty of the vice president is to be prepared to step in if your president cannot complete her term, or even if she's just going to be absent from a meeting. If you were the predecessor, this is going to be an easier process. But if you are if you will be succeeding her and never have been the president, you will want to do a few things. I highly recommend that you shadow the president this year, if at all possible. And by shadowing, this could include becoming familiar with the president's book. I want you to know the president's book is not a big secret, and you can share it with the members or the vice president of your chapter. You might even review the president's section of the instructions to local chapters or the IOLC after you've reviewed your section for the vice president. Please keep a copy of your chapter bylaws so that you are able to refer to them and know where the officers keep their supplies. In our chapter, we do a list. Every officer knows where everybody's supplies are, and it is kept with the president. This is pretty important. During an organizer visit, you should be prepared to give the special work. And the special work, of course, is our password and the meaning of our letters. Remember, the more you practice the ceremony of initiation, the more comfortable you will become. As Jeannie mentioned, it is really important to make good eye contact with the initiate, and sometimes that is not easy to do when you read. So, did you know that as the vice president, you are in charge of balloting? The recording secretary should have the ballots or slips of paper and pencils, but if not, you can bring a supply to the meeting. You arrange for an appropriate container in which to place the voted ballots. You distribute one ballot to each member, And after the member has voted, she stands up if she is able to, or she can nod or signal the president that she has voted. When you have gone around to each sister to collect her voted ballot, she will sit down. The ballots should be collected from you first, your president second, your recording secretary, and then the chapter members. Members should be placing their ballots face down in your container. And as I said, you will, after the members have given you their ballot, they sit down, and then you return the collected ballots to the president and to the recording secretary. They determine if the vote is pro or if it is not going to pass. The ballots aren't technically counted unless there is a question about the number of ballots that you might have. Say you have 5 or you have 25 members and you end up with 26 ballots, then you will need to reballot. It does happen occasionally that you will have to take another vote. You just repeat that proceedings. The instructions for balloting can be found in Appendix 10 of the President's book. You can also ballot virtually now, and there are separate instructions for that in that Appendix 10, which I won't go over today. I see my battery's getting low. There we go. Oh no. Oh. Sorry, I had to plug the computer in. Please become familiar with those virtual instructions if your chapter is continuing to meet virtually. As the vice president, another duty that you might have is serving on your membership committee. You might even be the chair of the membership committee. As a member, you want to consider possibly being on the pre-acceptance and post-initiation committee. That's a great way to get your new members started on the correct foot. It's also important to follow up on 2 forms that International does send to your president. One is a notice of a member in your area, and that is already a P.E.O. who is looking for a chapter. The other form that International sends is introduction of a woman who is not a P.E.O. That includes a little bit more investigating. Your membership committee could invite the woman to a small group coffee. You can also invite her to your social activities. And then you can discuss some of the benefits of being a P.E.O. It's important that you give her the opportunity to ask questions about the organization because she is just a prospective member. These 2 forms go out to the presidents within a 30-mile radius of your chapter. So if you're in a city that has multiple chapters and you get these forms in the mail, please initiate those contacts right away with those ladies. If not, you might lose out on a prospective member for your chapter. International has a great guide for the membership committee, and membership begins with me. After you log on to the International website, you can type at the search bar, membership begins with me, and it will pop right up. I have done the search and filter. I tend to have a little bit more success at the magnifying glass. I want to conclude by saying thank you for agreeing to serve as the vice president. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you, Linda. Are there any questions? There's a lot of information out there we couldn't cover it all, and so we picked the highlights.
I would like it if we all introduced ourselves. I don't know everybody. I don't know hardly anybody.
Oh,
Okay,
that's a really good.
it's a good question. Absolutely. Okay, Nancy, we'll start with you.
Okay, Nancy Goebel. I am in chapter CD. I live in McLeod, but my chapter is in Big Timber. I've been vice president 3 times now because, well, for various reasons. And I'm still hesitant to go into those big shoes. But I think I'm going to have to.
You can do it, Nancy. You can do it.
Okay.
Alrighty, Nancy Light. Oh, you're on mute.
There you go.
Can
Okay,
I introduce myself?
Oh, just a second. We'll get to you. So go ahead, Nancy.
Fine.
okay. I'm Nancy Light. I'm president of chapter MAW. We merged a year ago, April. So this is our second year as a merged chapter in Cut Bank. And this is my second year as president.
Alrighty. Marilena Sandoval.
Yes, ma'am. I am the president of Chapter S in Billings. This is my second year. I was president the year before, and I joined P.E.O 3.5 years ago.
Oh,
It's
wow.
been a wonderful experience.
Oh,
Alright, Mary Whiting.
I'm Mary Whiting, Chapter AP in Livingston. I've been the president for 2 years. Before that, I was recording secretary, and next year I'll be a PEO for 20 years. So I'm excited about that.
Congratulations. Alrighty, Lavelle.
Hi, I'm Lavelle Van Bost. I'm president of Chapter AX in Great Falls, and this is my second year.
Madeline.
Hi, I'm Madeline Cooper. I'm the president of Chapter N in Roundup. I was president for 2 years earlier, and then I was vice president last year, and our president left at the end of the year before she finished the year. She moved back to Minnesota, so I kind of got it again by default because I was the vice president. And as you probably know, it's sometimes difficult to get people to take on these shoes. So I told them I would do it one more year, but then after that, they were going to have to kind of see if somebody else could step into the shoes. So it's always a problem, it seems like.
Absolutely. Alrighty, Jennifer Wagner.
Hi there, I'm Jen Wagner, and I am Vice President this year of Chapter AS in Billings. And previously, I was President the last 3 terms, and looking forward to serving in this role. And I've been a PEO for 22 years.
Great. Kristen.
Hi, I'm Kristen Solberg from Chapter B.O in Missoula. I'm vice president this year. I just finished 2 years of being president for my 3rd time. And I'm glad to be vice president.
Great. Cheryl.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Genovese from Chapter BU in Bozeman. This is my first year as president. I've been vice president and recording secretary. And I think maybe PEO for about 7 or 8 years. And thank you very much. This was really informative.
Great. Thank you. Darla.
Hi, I'm Darla Jones in Billings, Montana, Chapter Y. This is my second year as vice president. We just like our president way too much, and I really appreciate her. I have been in PEO. Next year will be 10 years. I don't know how that time that happens, but thank you for today.
Alrighty, Cindy.
Helps when I unmute. Hi, I'm Cindy Osland from Chapter AE in Billings, and I'm president on my 2nd term. But I've been in PEO 27 years, 19 of those in Sydney, where I was a 2-year president. So not a lot has
changed a little bit.
Mhm.
What else was I going to say? I'll see you at state convention, but I saw Nancy. Happy sitting to my.
Happy setting to bye.
All righty, thank you. Peggy. Oh, you're on mute.
There you
I'm
go.
sorry, I'm on my husband's computer and the little thing just goes wacky. I am Vice President of Chapter AL in Butte this year. I am a past state president. I have been president, I can't tell you how many times, and I'm a 47-year member of PEO. And I can tell you, I even took notes because there's things that I learned today. So it's never, PEO changes all the time. And so coming to trainings and workshops is always important. And thank you both.
Thank you. All righty, Patty.
Hi, I'm Patty Frazier. I just started this term of my presidency. I was the president probably back in about 1990, no, let's see, 2000, pardon me, 1999, 2000, 2001. Since then, I was also the guard, secretary, and vice president. So now they've recycled me for the president again this time. And I've been a PEO for almost 35 years.
Wow. Great, thank you. Diane.
Thank you. I'm Diane Cross from Chapter Y in Billings. This is my 11th year. I have been in every office except for chaplain. 2 years as vice president. One of those was acting president. Again, my second year. Darla, whom you just spoke with, will succeed me, and we work as a team. There is absolutely no positive or negative that might come my way that Darla is not apprised of. So the chapter next year will.
Oh, I think she just froze up on us.
Yes.
Okay, we'll go ahead to Pam. Thank you, Diane, but we'll go ahead and move over to Pam.
Welcome.
I'm Pam Bredberg, and I am Vice President of Chapter CJ in Bozeman, the newest chapter here. I have been president twice over my career, and I have been in PEO for 55 years.
Oh. Wow. All righty, thank you, Pam. Kimberly.
Hi, I'm Kim Finch, and I am president of Chapter AD in Dillon. I am in the same chapter as Linda, so we are fortunate to get to ask Linda any questions we have, and she's a wealth of information. This is my first year as president. I have served as the treasurer for several years, and last year I was chaplain, and so I'm happy to be president this year.
Brenda.
Hi, I'm Brenda Hastings. I am vice president this year for Chapter S with Marilena Sandoval. And I agree, we do everything as a team. We work really well together. We're kind of partners in crime. And I have been in PEO for 2 years, and I just moved here from Washington State 2 years ago. So I'm happy to be here, and thank you so much for this information. It was great.
Thank you. Marianne.
Hi, Marianne Sullivan from Chapter AI in Polson. It is my first time as a president, and we're actually sharing the presidency because I am a snowbird. So I will be the president from June until through November, and then Jackie Grahn is going to take over December through May, I guess, till I get back, because I come back in May. So we'll see how this works.
It will work beautifully. Thank you. Alrighty, Melissa. Okay, we'll come back to Melissa. How about Cheryl?
I think I'm unmuted now. I'm Cheryl Pelton, and I retired about 4 years ago, and I am now just in P.E.O. For 3 years. So, and I'm learning a lot. Thank you for this workshop. It's very helpful. I'm a vice president for Chapter CC in Absaroka, which also has Columbus and Nye, people in Stillwater County, basically.
Great. Great. Thank you. Alrighty, we'll jump back to Melissa. I saw her kind of unmute.
Hi, for some reason my phone is now acting completely ridiculous. Anyway, I'm Melissa Smith from Chapter AH in Great Falls, and this will be my 4th term as president.
Great. Alrighty, Connie. Okay, well, what's that? Jump back. Sandra.
I'm Zandra Hubbs, Chapter AS. This is my first year as president, but I am super blessed to have my vice president be Jan Wagner, who has been the president for the last 3 years. She's just a wealth of knowledge.
Okay, fabulous. Alrighty, Connie. Looks like you're off mute now, so.
Oh,
she just jumped back. Okay. Mary Chrisanne.
There she is, Connie.
Oh, there she is.
Okay.
Connie, quick.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thanks, ladies. I'm Connie Johnson from Helena, Chapter AO. I just did the math. I've been in PEO for 19 years. I think I've held every office. Been a president. This is my 2nd time. And we just celebrated our 75th birthday in Chapter AO.
Oh,
wow.
Congratulations.
Okay, Mary.
I am Vice President of Chapter BX in Billings. I have held all offices, been president 4 times, and I have been a PEO 42 years in October.
Wow. Alrighty, Susan.
I'm in Chapter AACF, and I was vice president on Sunday, and I am president on Wednesday this week. So this has been very helpful. Thank you so much.
Great, thank you. Let's see, Lynn Zimmerman, she's of Chapter BJ Libby. If I recall, she's not able to chime in with the microphone.
She did chat. She said, thank you for the training. It's always helpful to refresh and highlight important points. Chapter BJ Libby.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, well, we have 3 more, I think 3 more left. iPhone 154.
That's me, Leanne Daly in Great Falls, Montana with Chapter AR. And this is my first time being vice president, and I've been corresponding secretary numerous times.
Thank you. And we have a Samsung SM.
I think that's me. I'm Jamie Ulrich with Chapter AK in Malta, and this is my first year as president, and I've been vice president, chaplain, and guard.
Great, great. And let's see, Christina Litherland.
Hi, I'm Christina Litherland. I'm the vice president for Chapter AE here in Billings. It's my first time holding that office, though I have previously been president of my initiating chapter AC in New Mexico, which is where I was born and raised.
All right. Great. Thank you so much, ladies, for those introductions. Did I get everybody? I was working across my screen, so that's why it might not have been the same order as you. I think we got everybody. We do have a few minutes. Do you have any questions for us? This is the time to play Stump the State Officer.
Jeannie, I did want to say that what Peggy said, she took notes because you're always learning. And I want you to know that I did not know in the IOLC on the international chapter that in the index, there was a hyperlink to the certain topics. So there you go. You can always learn something.
I find that really easy to use because I can just go right to the topic I need rather than read all those pages. So I'm glad to share that little hint, and I'm glad you learned something. That's always exciting. So yeah. Any questions? This is your chance.
Yeah, I have a question regarding the president's book.
Yes.
You know, I have obviously the copy, and it's a copy that has it's been with the chapter for a long, long time. How often do we get updates? When I was looking at your information about the president's book, it seems like a lot of updates are in the website, and we don't get the actual copies. Do we need to replace them? How often do we replace them? Because I remember last year we got copies of some pages, but it made it very confusing because some things change halfway. I mean, what is the best way to keep the cleanest president's book?
Okay, those cardstock pages, they will only replace those as updates are made, usually after, you know, an international convention, or if there's some major change mid-year, they will only send out those pages that need to be replaced. So take out the old ones and replace exactly the new ones. If the other pages are getting really chewed up and looks like somebody used them as a coaster for their coffee or a napkin for fried chicken or whatever, things do happen. You may talk to the state organizer and get permission to order new pages. Every chapter is allowed only one set of those president's pages, the president's book. So you have, if they're getting really chewed up and just really looking nasty, you can get a replacement, but you will need to contact Kristen Hope for permission to order another set. So does that help? Does that answer your question? Okay. Okay. Any others?
I have just a strange question, maybe to some, but why do we still have a password if we don't use it?
Excellent question. And it's not such a strange question. They kept the password even though we don't use it. It's kept as it's what they say, a bond of fidelity. So it's
Okay.
kind of like that secret handshake you have with your best
Yeah.
friend or a favorite cousin or a favorite sister or whatever.
Yep.
It's the same thing, even though we no
Okay.
longer use it. And some chapters still like to have that password
Sure.
shared at a meeting. So,
Sure.
but that's why. That's why we
Great.
keep it. Any other questions?
Dee, I have a question. This is Patty
Yes.
Frazier from AU.
Yes.
I know that in the new initiation now, the candidate does not have to put her hand on the Bible if she chooses not to. Are we going to continue to always have the Bible on the table? Some people do not use a Bible as their form of reference. And so I'm wondering if we have to keep the Bible there when those people are being initiated.
Yes, you do. You just leave it on the table open. That's what the procedure is right now. So we're going to follow that, but she does not need to put her hand. You don't need to pick up the Bible. You can just leave it on the table if she chooses hand over her heart.
Okay,
and raising her left hand.
Sure, thank you very much.
And I was going to read a couple of things in the chat. One of them is yes, the recording will be on the website, but it wants to know if it'll be on for the full year.
I believe so. Well, Linda, that will be up to you to make that decision.
Yeah. Well,
in just a few short weeks.
Thank you very much. And Melissa thanked us for our training. Probably we'll need a refresher after the summer break. Okay, ladies, that's funny.
We get it. Yeah. I think we all do, especially if you have a break. If you take a summer break, some chapters do, some don't. So that does make sense. Yeah.
I did notice when I was researching, because I'm going to do chaplain and guard at 11, I did notice that there is a video under the officers' resources on the Montana website by Kathy Brown for chaplains and guards. And I think that will probably replace that one with the recording that we'll do this time. So they're out there for quite a while. They're not always first. The most recent are first, and you might have to click the hyperlink that says go to YouTube, videos on YouTube, because that's where a lot of the older ones reside.
And I think Linda will probably get the link for this one, and if she sends it to me, I'll send it out to everybody as soon as it's available. That's what I've done in the past. That way you have instant access to it if you want to watch it all over again, or catch something if I went a little too fast, or just need something to fall asleep to. One of the any of those options. So
Well, I think I'll stop the recording then.
Are there any other questions? It looks like we must have covered everything, and we covered everything so well you have no further questions.
Right.
Which is hard to believe. Because there's no way we could get through everything, but all righty.
We'll go to our resources.
Right, thank you.
Now there's all that list of where to go to find answers. But again, if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to contact a state officer. Sometimes you just don't know where to begin looking. And there's always a rabbit hole to fall down in with some of that stuff, especially those websites. But a lot of information out there for all of you to do your jobs amazingly well. So
thank you.
Jeannie, you might have to stop the recording.
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
All righty. Well, hey, thank you.